Good morning, everybody. This is Mike from the last Corvette. Today is Wednesday, February 9th. Pretty crazy, but it is 52 outside. At least that's what my truck shows. So definitely a heat wave, especially looking back the last couple of weeks, or really 3 weeks. It's been pretty frigid here. And don't worry, February is usually the coldest month of the year, pretty much everywhere in the U.S. But it's going to get cold again. So I think this weekend it's going to get into the single digits again overnight. But anyway, I'm going to post this video on Instagram and YouTube. So I've been making videos and uploading them onto my YouTube channel, Last Corvette, kind of going through the whole process of replacing, upgrading the fuel pump in my C6, driver's side tank, parts, and pretty much everything and anything in between. So currently I have the fuel tank back out. Yes, I made a video explaining what happened. Long story short is I had the fuel tank in and I just couldn't get the crossover pipe fully seated into the tank and actually, you know, twist lock it into the tabs, the composite tabs on the tank itself. About 1/8 of an inch off, and I fought with it till like midnight. It was freaking cold even with the heater on, and then I couldn't get it apart. So a couple of days later, when the weather warmed up slightly, I was able to drop the tank for the second time. And yes, it does get a little easier because now you know the body positions, where to look, how to get the thing in and out. But when I dropped the tank, I realized that my inner sleeve that usually lives inside the crossover tube was stuck in the tank, which was kind of a shock to me because I did double check everything. So anyway, upon further inspection, the inner lines inside the crossover tube were fine, but the sleeve popped out. And the sleeve does two things. It helps guide the crossover pipe into the O-rings that are inside the tank, but also it retains the inner fuel lines inside the crossover pipe. And without that little tab, not only are you going to damage obviously the O-rings, but you're also going to push back the male side of your return lines inside the crossover pipe. So without that tab, even if you make a connection, your fuel lines aren't going to be seated all the way into the female side, into the O-rings, and you're going to have bad fuel pressure, and so on and so forth. So at that point, I started looking and I realized that you can't get these sleeves without purchasing a brand new crossover pipe. You can get the lines, but you can't get these sleeves. So I went and looked on eBay and I found a really nice crossover pipe, obviously used, but in perfect shape. And I think the whole thing with shipping and tax was like 41 bucks. So I got that in last week. I was able to retrieve the sleeve. I reinstalled it into my crossover pipe that's still connected to my the passenger side tank, and that was all set. Now the key here is for people to know is there's no way you can flip-flop the lines because they won't physically fit. You're not going to be able to actually make the connection because they're purposely different diameters, male side, female side, and there's also a little guide tab. It looks like a little T. So if you have either the fuel tank side or the crossover side flip-flop somehow, it's just not going to lock in. So anyway, when I was going through the first, I guess, reassembly process, I ran into the same issue where I was about 1/8 of an inch off, and I just couldn't lock it in. So now I have the fuel tank out again. It's sitting next to the car. I have the spare crossover pipe, and I've been kind of test fitting to figure out what is the best way to, connect this, because out of the vehicle, everything is there. You can kind of look at alignments. You can look at how the everything goes together. Once everything is up, you know, you're just basically doing everything by feel and touch type of thing, by memory, really. So there's two things I'm going to do. I tried to put some oil on both the male side of the return lines inside the crossover pipe and the female side, lubed everything up, including the O-rings, the main O-rings that seal the cavity. And same thing, I'm making a connection, but I'm not fully seating all the way to lock the tabs in. So basically same thing that was happening to me up in the fuel tank cavity. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to put some oil, motor oil, on the actual collar, the locking tab, and see if I can slip it over. If not, I might have a solution. So when I was looking, so I replaced my inner return lines that live inside the tank. They connect to the fuel pump, and the other side goes into the bucket itself. And it has a little bit of play. It still has all the locking tabs. Everything is proper, but I'm thinking when I'm making my connection, the fuel tank side is slightly cocked, so I'm not able to push it all the way in. And now, being that it's out of the vehicle, you know, I can apply a lot of pressure on it, and it's just not budging. So tonight I'm going to make a video showing you guys on YouTube, and I'll post it on YouTube, all of the inners, the crossover side, male, female side, how it all aligns. And I will do once I'm able to lock everything in place, I am going to mark center line that's visible to me from the bottom on the tank side and also on the crossover side to make the whole reinstall a little bit easier to find center and get them aligned. But you know, honestly, once you get it in position, you can feel it slide in. You know, you can definitely feel it align. But if none of the tricks work, I will take a small little zip tie and I will actually zip tie it. I will zip tie the female side inside the tank to the fittings, and what that's going to do, it's going to force the fittings to sit flush and not have any play. And I'm going to try it again tonight, and if that's successful, then I will attempt my reassembly part 2. Now, another thing too is I noticed when I had trouble you know, doing my first I guess reassembly approach, there is slight scoring on the O-ring. So I might just get 2 more O-rings and you know, and replace that, because I definitely don't want to have any leaks. That's the whole point of doing this job, even though it sucks. But we'll see. Either more oil, I'll be able to slide it in, or realign the tabs. I didn't want to use any kind of zip ties, but in this case there's a little bit of play, and I think it has a lot to do with just binding up, and I'll show you guys all that in detail tonight, and not allowing me to fully seat the male into the female side of the tank. All right, have yourself a great day.